was kind of hoping maybe Andy would cry a little up here, so I'm not the only one. What I'm about to read to you, folks, is on behalf of our entire department. Approximately 10 years ago, the Leicester Police Department interviewed a tall, good-looking young guy named Ron Tarentino, Jr. Ronnie was persistent in following the path of his dad, Ron Tarentino Sr., pursuing his dream of becoming a police officer. Well, needless to say, Ronnie was successful in obtaining the job of his dreams and eventually appointed as a Leicester police officer wearing badge number 5. Soon after Ron had completed the police academy and the FTO program, he began to patrol on his own cruiser. I know his sisters never heard this story, they told me so. Ron made an immediate, lasting impression on all of us at the LPD one evening while responding to a possible breaking and entering in progress call. You could tell by Ronnie's excitement over the radio that he was determined to be the first officer on scene and to catch that potential bad guy. However, a short time later, while responding, Ronnie comes over the radio. We hear the transmission to the supervisor. Remember, he was number 5, the supervisor was 75. 5 to 75, he was in cruiser 4. L4's down, flat. So, well, you could clearly hear the disappointment in his voice. Well, as things turned out, Ronnie never made it to the scene as he was stuck on Main Street in the center of Leicester with both right side tires blown out of the cruiser. He was obviously a little rambunctious, taking a right-hand turn and managed to strike a curb, taking out those 2 tires and rims. We've all heard over the past several days about a great man, husband, father, police officer, and friend Ronnie was to many of us, and it's all true. We're so fortunate that when we think of Ron, we can smile and laugh because he had such a great presence in our lives. By sight, Ron was a big, strong, tough, rugged-looking guy, but what almost all of you don't know is that in the middle of the night in his cruiser, Ron would not hesitate to fist pump and rock out the Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. If Ron was here today, he would not deny that he knew all the words to that song. Many of us would gather for card games at a secret location, Frankie's place maybe, playing just for fun, Chief, just for fun. It would not be uncommon for Ron to win and then get up and go share his salsa recipe with some of the wives that were there. Ronnie was truly a well-rounded guy. Ron organized a neighborhood cleanup every Earth Day. He and Trish were out there in their orange shirts picking up trash on the sides of the road. Ron would post signs all over the neighborhood to let people know where to meet. Ron was a guy who did things because it was the right thing to do. And that tradition for Earth Day will continue. Ron was also that guy, if you were at a party and he saw somebody leaving, that he would find a way to get their keys without them knowing it, or move the car to another neighborhood to keep them from leaving. He was the guy, if you fell asleep at the annual Christmas party, you most likely woke up with Christmas lights wrapped around you. Ron loved good competition. Many times he would gather for bocce games, darts, and cards. He'd swear up and down that he was great at all of them until it was actually time to play darts, when Ron would hit everything but the dartboard. And he would shyly admit that he hadn't played darts in a while, but he used to be good. Ron would always participate in charity golf tournaments and blame the fact that he didn't have the custom lengthened clubs for every bad shot that he made, which turned out to be every shot that day but one. Whether you're talking to Ron about what was going on around town, a car, or how he didn't understand his son's math homework, he just made you laugh, and you just felt good to be around him. Ron should still be with us today, but he's not, and we will never understand or wrap our hands around it. But it's our purpose now to live like Ron did. Be that person that is friendly and kind, smile, laugh, don't take yourself so serious, love your life, love your family, and love what you do. Ron has reminded us to look at each day as a precious gift and not take anything for granted. Most important, Ron has blessed us all with his friendship and love. Smile when you think of Ron. Pray for Trish, his sons Ronnie, Spencer, and Kyle. And remember, please remember, to be good to one another and embrace life the way Ron did. Before I end, I was fortunate enough to obtain Ron attended the Boylston Police Academy, and I'd like to read this. It was in the police world, we have to write things that are called two-froms. So this was the Academy Director from Student Officer Ronald Tarentino, Jr. Leicester Police Department, and the subject was why I want to become a police officer. This is dated February 8th, 2008. Of course, it is a corrected version too, so I'll have to get between them. It says, sir, there are many reasons why, these are Ron's words, many reasons why I want to become a police officer. This has been a long time coming for me. I have been trying to become a police officer since I graduated high school in 1991. The main reason for this choice is my father. He has been a police officer in the city of Medford since 1971, so needless to say, it is the lifestyle I grew up with. I also have an uncle in the same department who has been there for at least 15 years. Between my father and my uncle, I frequented the police station either to visit or go shooting or just hang out to see what was going on. The result of this was I was able to make a tremendous amount of friends from that department. We can believe that. They were all a great source of information and stories, plus I knew that they were there for me if I needed anything. The stories were the best part of the whole deal. Some of the stories made my heart pump. I definitely knew this line of work was for me. You could also tell that police officers led a different life and lifestyle than most people. Through the years and the different jobs I have held, I feel my personality and demeanor fit the criteria to be a police officer. I feel I'm an outgoing person and at the same time approachable. I think these are huge in doing police work. I have a community-type attitude, and my goal is to get my name out there on the street. He was successful. I want people to trust me and me to trust them. I have a cousin who is a couple years older than me that was in the Army as a Ranger for, I think, 8+ years. When he decided to leave the Army, he went right into the DEA, which right now he is in Afghanistan assisting in the drug trafficker over there. I also have a female cousin who is a campus police officer at Tufts College. This is just more fuel that powered my desire for this job. I have 3 sons, and if they were anything like me growing up, I know my biggest hurdle will be keeping them safe and out of trouble. I feel with me working in the town my boys grow up in is a great tool to keep an extra eye on them. The advantage for me growing up was my father did not work in the same town we lived, and I took advantage of it. So this is another reason why I want to strive to become a police officer. It is also a great job to have financially. Again, using my father as an example, he has made a great living from his job. With a family like mine, I need to make sure my job is something I can rely on. The last thing I want to do is let my family down. So far, it definitely meets the ticket. I used to commute 80 miles round trip a day. I figured on average that is 15 hours per week that I can be home instead of traveling. My commute is now 6 miles round trip, and if something last minutes comes up, it is only a quick trip and I'm back home. I I like to have a sense of pride in my work, as well as knowing I can be able to help someone in some way, shape, or form. This line of work has so many advantages and positive aspects. I also know it can be dangerous, but so is crossing the street or driving to the bank. That's why I'm trained by the best and will be able to use that knowledge to stay to stay safe out on the streets. I have been working approximately 8 months prior to the start of the academy. Already it has been a tremendous learning experience as well as a great time. The friends I made at my station are great. We all take a lot of pride in what we do and how we look. The camaraderie is out of this world. If I have a question about anything, these guys are right there for me, and even though it may be a simple question for them, they answer it without any sarcasm. Based on my experience so far, there is no way I could picture myself doing anything else. It is definitely all I thought it was going to be. Leicester is a great location too. It definitely can be slow, but it can be busy too. It is a great middle-of-the-road location to work. To sum it all up, it is a long-time dream come true for me. I'm where I want to be all the way around. I have a tremendous family that supports me and a job that some people dream about, as I once did. I can only hope the road ahead is as good as the last couple of years have been, but I will take it one day at a time like I have been. Respectfully submitted, Ronald Tarentino, Jr.